I must confess, I found myself with someone really good for me, something real. But then that strange urge crept in, that devil on my shoulder kept whispering, burn it. Did I say down there and look stupid? No, I said burn it. Everything was falling into place, the connection, the vibe, the peace, but it almost felt too good to be true. Something was missing, but I couldn't quite put my finger on it. We get the ick, we go cold, we pull away. I secretly loved being a real messy bitch lived for drama. I tell myself I'd only ruin their life, that they're too perfect, too good for me. But deep down, I know that wasn't really the case. I hadn't experienced stability before, like ever. Disappointment, that's what I knew. So when someone shows up and actually asks me how I feel about my life, what I love, and why I love it, it feels too much, like too much pressure, like suffocation.
I don't want to do it. I want to go home. Like, I can't take the pressure of it. But don't you think any job interview...
Our whole life would have to change. We'd have to follow through, but does that have to happen like right now? So we push them away, tell ourselves they're a bit much. I convinced myself actually that I needed to heal first, I needed to be better before I let them in. Right person, wrong time, and just like that, they're gone. One random night out with mates, you see them doing great, like really great, happy with someone else. Our blood runs cold. We feel shallow and hollow, and that other person is holding their arm, dripping with contentment and happiness and joy. It's in this moment that we realize that the love was real. We deeped that it wasn't perfect, but it was because they actually were devoted, and we've never felt that before. Do I even know how to accept love? We loved them because they actually cared about what was going on with our life, and that was terrifying because honestly, no one's ever given that much about me. It left me feeling exposed, vulnerable. Those questions I've been avoiding my entire life. So why do we do this to ourselves? You see, the one that got away, that's your art, it's not a relationship. You ghost your creativity, leaving it hanging because deep down you're terrified of it. That it's too much, that you'll feel too much, that you'll go insane, that you're not good enough to touch it or make it, or worse, that it will reveal something about you that you are not ready to face. And I know I'm not alone in this. As sensitive artists, we do this all the time. We run from the unwritten words, the instruments gathering dust, blank canvases calling us, convincing ourselves that one day when we're healed, we'll finally make our art. But then we look back wondering, what could have just been if we trusted ourselves, trusted our intuition, and worked with our curiosity and creativity instead of running away from it like the plague? My art waited patiently for me to make it, but it was too late now. I was too old. It all slipped through my fingers. But had it? This is the state of the artist. I'm Liv, and this is where storytelling meets esoteric wisdom, philosophy, and psychology. I merge it together to ignite your creative fire. It's time to blossom into the person you were destined to become. It's who you've always known you were deep down. I know it, you know it, and the time is now. We all begin the process before we're ready, before we are strong enough, before we know enough. We begin a dialogue with thoughts and feelings that both tickle and thunder within us. We respond before we know how to speak the language, before we know all the answers, and before we know exactly to whom we are speaking. You were born to do something wonderful with your life, so what is it? Everyone adores the Muse. They look at her bewitching beauty for inspiration, and yet she is not alone in the arms of her lover, yet she is still lonely, her soul unfulfilled. We give all our artistic ideas away, pour them away to some guy, when we could be giving it to our artistic community that actually values our creations and gives back to us. Reciprocity. I see so much wasted potential of women decentering their art and creativity and giving it away to some loser lover.
What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? I feel happy when my boyfriend's happy.
We must understand that we aren't just the spectacle of the Muse, but we are the artist too. You have been given the inspiration to act on, not to give away like candy. Instead of making your own fantasies come true, you make your lover's fantasies come true. You're so much more than a rock star boyfriend or girlfriend. You're so much more than someone's hot lover.
I know him, y'all. I know him. I know this man. I hate to say it. I hope I don't sound ridiculous. I don't know who this man is. I mean, he could be walking down the street. I wouldn't know a thing.
It's draining to watch. It's draining to experience. Look at Bianca Censori on the red carpet at the Grammys. Whew, pack it in. In fact, you're so good at being a whole vibe, you light up the room when you walk into it, and the energy vampires come to suck you dry. They consume your art, your intellect, your taste, your carefully curated style, but they do not respect you. They use you, steal parts of your identity, your personality, fashion, even your jokes, yes, your creative sexuality and life force for their own devices and to pose it as their own. The energy you've been given is yours. Your artistic spirit is priceless. It is sacred. Take in that you are everything, that you should be full of yourself because you're overflowing with luminosity. Remember who the hell you are.
Keep having to remind people that this is a 300-page plus memoir, and he's only in about 5 or 6 pages of it. And I've been told that it's actually the least interesting part of the book, so.
Julia Fox sure did. She stopped being the muse and look at how it transformed her life. This is what you were born to do. Art is your purpose, so own it. Because art makes you feel beautiful, not just look beautiful. And to manifest your dream life, you need to feel powerful.
Hello.
So decide in this moment, do you stay the muse? Or are you brave enough to be an artist? Well, I don't have time to make art. Listen, thou shalt decenter thine lover and shite a job. When artists tell me this, I get it. Life is heavy. There are burdens. There are responsibilities, major ones, whether it's parenting, disability, chronic illness. I've had an autoimmune condition for the past 10 years. Mental health struggles, caregiving, or just literally trying to pay rent. But if time isn't the issue, what are you spending your time doing? A lot of us center our energy into love interests. I used to honestly distract myself with, well, meaningless crushes. And then I'd go to my awful job and I'd waste all of my energy there.
What more do you want from me? Oh my God.
And it was soul crushing instead of funneling all of this creative energy into what I love. The thing is, I get it, we're looking for validation, the rush, the spark from others. It's easy, but when we get that from what we love, from our art, from our creativity, it's ours. Because our creative energy, our life force is meant for us, it's for you. That is why you feel so burnt out when we give it away to a job or a relationship. Green Chatton from The Fontaine said, never let a clock tell you what you have time for. It's sacrilege to give your artistic power away. Listen, I know it feels like you're standing on the edge of something brilliant, something big. And perhaps you're just terrified of what that means. You're terrified of your power. But if no one has told you this, let me be the first. You are better than this. You are not something to pick up and put down. You are a bloody creative genius. You are so capable of more than you even realize if you just took one step towards it. You could be the next Ray or Dochi.
I put my heart and my soul into this mixtape. I bared my life. I went through so much. I dedicated myself to sobriety, and God told me that I would be rewarded and that He would show me just how good it can get.
Chapel Roan. Imagine if they let someone's stupid son or daughter ruin their shot. Hell no. Instead, make art about it. Thou shalt not clout chase, the trap of our ego when it comes to art. Isn't art about validation? No, it's about devotion and passion. And that's why some artists, when they finally make it, they feel kind of dead inside. Listen, there's a kind of magic formula for making art, and it starts with you. The spark, the creation, the inspiration all begins with you. You create because something inside you is so big it needs to be expressed, and in that process something shifts. The act of making, shaping, molding, it's healing. That's how healing happens. That's where you face yourself, where you work through the chaos, where you turn your emotions into something tangible and don't turn away from them. And when you've made something so powerful, so undeniably good that it feels impossible to keep to yourself, we share it, but not for applause, not to be put on a pedestal, but because art is an act of love. It's storytelling. But if you're making art just to be adored, to be validated, you're not really sharing. You're feeding your own ego, waiting for people to tell you how brilliant you are and how talented you are and how special you are. And yet, how many artists have all the love, all the admiration, all the followers, but still hate themselves, are still depressed? They have everything, but are deeply depressed. They thought that the fame would make them happy, and still it's not enough. They self-destruct, sabotage their own success, numb themselves just to get through the day. They should feel that love. They've got 50,000 people on the stage singing their songs back to them. That's the dream, right? But that feeling of love, it never comes because it doesn't start out there. It starts within. As corny as you might think that sounds, it goes wrong. It all goes wrong when our egos take over and when artists see themselves as gods instead of co-creators. They expect the outcome of the art to fix them, the end result, but art doesn't heal you because people love it. It heals you whilst you're making it. The hours you pour yourself into this process, you're already changing. That's the real beauty of it. We mark those moments that matter. Art isn't about taking, it's about giving, it's about connection. And if you start there, you'll never lose faith in yourself. Then you will feel enough. Then you will feel worthy of love because you won't need it from outside to fill a void. You'll already have it inside. You're not just creating art, you're creating yourself. The new version of you that has always been waiting for you in this moment. Just wait for a second. Isn't this so beautiful that you know who you are? That book, that album, that film, it matters not just for you, but for everyone you're going to meet along the way, especially when your dreams are big. You'll need other people to create it with you, and in return, they get to chase their own dreams through helping you. It's this infinite collaboration of a quantum dance. And each person's creative path then intertwines with another's, and it brings us all magically together. To thine own self be true. One of my favourite YouTubers, Damon Dominique, he has this quote, and it's, "There's not a room that you don't belong in." This is a reminder that belonging isn't about permission. If you're in that room, you deserve to be there. Your perspective, your experience and creativity bring something to the table that nobody else can. You are there because you belong to be here, to be there. And when doubt creeps in, I think about my ancestors, the ones who literally fought and struggled and dreamed so that I could stand here right now speaking to you, taking up space, using my voice and embracing the freedoms they never had. And I'll tell you what freedom is to me.
No fear. I mean, really, no fear. If I could have that half of my life.
I envision them standing with me, their presence woven into my flesh and bones and blood, reminding me that I'm not alone. Their resilience, everything they did through sacrifices fueled my purpose to be here. So when imposter syndrome whispers, I don't belong here, I remember I am the manifestation of all of their hopes. I'm exactly where they hoped I would be and where I am meant to be. And when I see somebody magnificent, I don't feel jealous or insecure. I admire them. Their brilliance isn't a threat to me. It's a reflection. It's captivation. It reminds me that I'm on the same frequency as them and I'm aligned to greatness in my own way. I don't see their success as something to take away from mine. Instead, I gasp in wonder at their journey, at everything they've had to overcome, at this sheer magic of their existence. Their light does not dim mine. It reminds me that I am in the presence of greatness. You are not in competition with anyone. Nobody is competing with you. When you start showing up for your art, showing up as yourself, you will truly shock yourself with the rooms that you end up being in. You've got that spark in you right now. And I want you to magnify that feeling right now to the max, because if, again, nobody has told you this before, I believe in you and you can be truly unstoppable, and I'm here for it. Thou must divide and conquer the self-sabotage cycle. Listen, your behaviors are very predictable. They start with procrastination. You know that feeling, right? You've got this super cool idea, this insane project, it's sitting in your brain, going nowhere, but instead of diving in, you put it on a bench. It's too big to start. I'll do it later once I've got it all figured out. And then the perfectionist little devil pops up whispering, it's got to be perfect. No flaws, no cracks, no mess. If it's not flawless, don't bother. You'll only embarrass yourself. Then you'll look really stupid. Now you're stuck in a game waiting for a perfect moment that doesn't even exist. Perfectionism eventually leads to fear of failure. So you eventually start, but still in the, I've got to get it kind of just right, tweaking, adjusting again. And then what happens next? Fear, but big fear. The kind that makes your literal palms sweat. What if you get rejected? What if someone makes it before you do? Or what if I waste all of this time and it flops? You start thinking your work isn't worthy of even being seen, let alone shared. And you just panic for no reason, which then turns from fear of failure to fear of success. Now, here's the plot twist. Just when you thought, maybe I could do this, a new fear comes in. Success. What if this actually works? What if I get everything I bloody want? What I've been dreaming about, but what if I can't handle the pressure of it? What if everyone starts expecting me to be better, make more of it, and this is all I've got? I'm just gonna crash out and burn. Suddenly success doesn't feel shiny. You freeze, you start to question everything. You're just too weak, you're not built for this. And the cycle continues. The fear of success turns back into procrastination. Here, the ultimate twist. The success that you've been chasing is now the thing that scares the shit out of you. So instead of pushing forward, you hit pause. You're back to procrastinating. Nah, I'll just wait. I just need more time, more preparation, but really you're avoiding the very thing you wanted, success. You're scared of what's coming next because you know it will actually all work out, and we get blocked. So let's get rid of the creative constipation because it's far from healthy, if you ask me. Excitement is fear having fun. So your brain is literally an animal. It's animalistic as hell when it comes to telling the difference between fear and excitement. It's processing so much that at one time, new sets off the amygdala. It's like good or bad, it reacts the same way. It lights up like an alarm but can't tell the difference between an exciting opportunity or the threat of actual danger. The same regions in the brain light up, same heart-pounding adrenaline, rushing chaos. The amygdala sees you about to put yourself out there for an opportunity and let's say an art competition or like a funding for a grant and goes, we're about to die, actually. Is this an incredible opportunity for growth? No clue. Let's panic and sweat profusely. The prefrontal cortex is the only one with a shred of critical thinking trying to be the responsible adult in the room, like, wait, this is literally just posting your art online. You're not going to be attacked by a bear. Meanwhile, our body is already in fight or flight, ready to fake our own death to escape the anxiety of pressing send. The only real difference between dopamine and cortisol is if your brain decides the situation is thrilling and you get a nice hit of dopamine, or if it decides you're about to die, enjoy that massive cortisol dump, which means you can literally scam yourself into being excited by telling your brain, this is actually fun, we love this. New is bloody brilliant because it means that we're in a new timeline. When you feel that rush of panic, pause, take a deep breath, literally. Deep, slow signals to your nervous system that you're not in danger, and it gives that rational prefrontal cortex time, just enough time to step in. Trust me, you will not survive 2025 without meditation. I was the most dysregulated nervous wreck for 10 years. I used to laugh at people that meditated and took deep breaths. I'd be like, what? That doesn't work. Like, get out of here. Now, don't get me wrong, I still get reactive, but I'm able to de-escalate so much faster with meditation. So it just gives me that time not to explode or like dissolve. Meditation gives you time to think so you don't explode or implode. Reframe the situation. Your brain is already producing energy for fight or flight, so redirect it. Instead of saying, I'm terrified, tell yourself, this is what I want. We love this actually. Change is giving me a thrill. The psychological response is the same, but this tiny adjustment, this tiny shift in your brain towards dopamine instead of cortisol is a game changer. Expose yourself to new experiences often and regularly. The more often you face the novelty of new things, the less your amygdala freaks out. Your brain starts to recognize, oh, we've just done new things before and we didn't die, so we're going to be okay. Maybe this is all right. And then finally, you anchor yourself in logic. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Most of the time, this fear is exaggerated. Bringing it into the rational world helps our prefrontal cortex take charge of the wheel, calm the hell down, and stop those unnecessary alarm bells. Remember, our brain wants to keep us safe, not make us happy. It wants to keep us alive, so we must teach our body how to react to new things. Otherwise, we stay in the same old timeline, in the same old lane. So how does one seduce thine own mind? Gradual exposure to novelty, so doing something out of the ordinary weekly. Cold water exposure or cold showers aren't just for mental resilience. There's loads of clinical studies that tell you how good it is for you, but it really helps you control stress really well. And it trains your body to stay calm in stressful situations. Now, reframing fear as excitement instead of this is overwhelming, say, this is a challenge, I can handle it. New is scary, help. Instead, new is bringing me closer to what I actually want. I'm getting to where I want. Slowing down reactivity, so naming what's happening. This is just an adrenaline dump. My body thinks it's helping me, but it's not. That awareness alone gives your brain the time to get more control. Pattern recognition. My pattern recognition is too real. My pattern recognition is too real. Keep a proof list of times you did something scary and it worked out. I just took a cold shower and I didn't die. In fact, I feel invigorated. The world has tried to cast you as both the sinner and the saint. Too meek, too passionate, too narcissistic, too people-pleasing, or too daring to make art, or too selfless when you hold yourself back for the sake of others. But here's the truth. Your creativity is not a curse. It is a gift, and denying it is betrayal. Right now, you have the power to reclaim yourself, to see that every moment that you've hesitated, every shadow of doubt was just another test of your devotion. No more waiting for the right time. The time is now. So no more seeking permission. The calling is already yours. This is State of the Artist. If you value this video, please subscribe and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Before I bid you farewell, here's your challenge for the week. I want you to create something without shame, without guilt, without the weight of judgment, but something really, really small. I want you to give in to the art that's been begging to be born, whether it's divine inspiration or the fire of rebellion. Let both the saint and the sinner speak in you. I want you to grab your journal and I want you to write down 3 things that others validate for you. What do other people praise you for? What do they see in you that makes them appreciate you? The saintly stuff, you know? Then I want you to flip it around. Write 3 things that you validate yourself for and wish others would notice. What parts of you do you keep on the down low? What are the things that you're so proud of but you just don't get the recognition for? What are you quietly good at that makes you feel electric, even if no one else has seen it yet? Take a minute to sit with both of those sides and how they coexist. Reflect on how it carries both sides of you. I want you to come up with just the title of that piece that embodies these 2 sides of you. It could be wild, symbolic, or something pure. Just think of that title that feels like you and gets you. By naming this piece, the rest will drip in 1 drop at a time. My work here isn't done. I will be playing devil's advocate and you'll be getting a lot of tough love next week. So be prepared to dive deep into your villain era where the rules get twisted. See you next week.